All right, you delicious bunch of lovelies. How you doing? You all right? I'm all right. Bloody cold though, innit? Bloody hell. Winter's truly setting in. But anyway, today on Cost of Living Bullshittery, we're going to do a chicken stew and dumplings. Classic, absolute classic. And it's going to be cheap as chips as well, because we're all pissing skint, aren't we? Thank you, world, for making us all skint. Really appreciate it. Honestly, don't worry about it. Don't sweat it. Sit down, relax, put your feet up. We'll suffer. Anyway, yeah, so that's what we're going to do. Nice chicken stew and dumplings. It's going to be really simple, packed full of flavour. It's going to kind of warm you up as well, because it is getting bitterly cold right now. And no one can afford to turn the piss and heating on, can they? Canal. But before we dive in, please do the usual thing. Like, share, subscribe. Thank you very much. Share this to your friends and family, and crucially, the people in need. Nice, easy recipe this. It's going to fill you up. It's going to be nice and warming. Going to make your belly happy, and it's going to be cheap as chips. So that's what we're going to do. Nice, easy recipe. Chicken stew and dumplings. Let's crack on with it. Let's go. Little rundown then of what we got. There's very few ingredients to this, so it's going to be cheap as chips, and you know it's going to be easy as well. So I've got some chicken thighs here, skinless and boneless. Look, I couldn't be arsed, so I bought a pack. This is about £5, but we're only going to use about half of this, so it's going to be very economical. If you feel so inclined, I have done a video on how to portion down your own whole chickens. It's going to save you money, and it's fairly easy to do. So I'll put a link to that video up on the screen. You can go and watch that after you've watched this. Smoked bacon, got some garlic, leeks, chicken stock, parsley, got some lemon. The chicken stock I used, cheapo little version, 55p. It'll do the job. Onion. Gonna add a bit of mustard to mine as well. If you haven't got that, leave it out. I'm using some packet dumplings. These are reduced, Sainsbury's, if you can see that. You can't, it's just too bright. There you go. 65p, that was, reduced. You can make your own dumplings, it's easy enough. It's a bit of self-raising flour and some beef or vegetables to it. But look, that's ready to go. It's all in one. You don't have to muck about, do you? But that's basically it. All right, gonna add some salt and pepper, bit of love, it's gonna be delicious. So I'm gonna prep all this, get it all chopped, diced and all that kind of jazz, and then we can crack on. Right, so I've sliced and diced the onions and leek, got some smoked bacon, diced up the chicken thighs, which a certain someone is hovering around for. You've already had some. And that was 4 large chicken thighs. Okay, if they're smaller, you might need 5, maybe 6. But now we're ready to start cooking, so let's crack on. Right, let's get a pan over here. Get it onto a heat, sort of medium-ish heat. He says, oh, don't start, you piece of Thank you. Just gonna add a little touch of oil, just to get things going. And I'm gonna get that fairly hot, because we need to get some colour on the chicken.
See you in a bit.
Okay, once it starts to get hot, in with the chicken. And also the smoked bacon. And you know the drill by now. I'm going to take a teaspoon and get some browning on this chicken. Also want to kind of get that bacon a bit crispy as well. Okay, it's not going to take long, okay, because remember we don't want to spend too much on flipping gas. A couple of minutes, just get a bit of colour on there. It's going to be golden. Okay, right. Now I've got some colour on that chicken, well a little bit. We don't need a lot, just a little tinge. I'm going to get this out of the pan, and I've turned the heat down nice and low. Then on a nice low heat, I'm going to get the onions and the leeks in. And as soon as they hit that pan, it's going to start smelling sexy. Honestly, there's nothing better than the smell of onions cooking. It's like amazing. And all this cack and brown bits in the pan, that is all flavour. You do not want to get rid of that. That is going to make your stew a little bit extra. Yes, exactly, mate. So again, just pour yourself a glass of wine. Have a beer. If you don't drink, have a glass of juice. Whilst you pour over and tend to your alliums.
More moments later.
Okay, right. So our onions and leek, not far off now. Going to add a sort of generous knob of butter. If you haven't got any butter, don't worry. Don't go out and buy it specially. Just add a bit more oil. And for reference, I'm using knockoff Tesco Lurpak. Also going to add in the garlic. Get it in there. Next I'm going to add about 1.5 tablespoons of plain flour. This is going to be our thickener. And don't worry either, if you haven't got any plain flour, if you've only got like a bit of self-raising flour, a bit of bread flour knocking about, listen, just throw that in. And you know, listen, it doesn't really alter the flavour. Well, I don't think so anyway. It works, it's fine. And you want to take that rawness out of the flour. If you don't do that, it's going to taste chalky. Right, so after about a minute, we can start adding the stock. Oh, it's smelling good already. Give that a shufty. And just kind of add it in sort of stages. And add enough there. And as you kind of add it, it should start lifting off some of that fond from the bottom of the pan. Those khaki bits, as I say. Give it a good old scrape. Get your workout in. I'm going to add the chicken and bacon back in. Oh God, this is just going to be like amazing. I know it is. Add some more stock. And just add enough to get it at the desired consistency you want. Some people like thinner stews. Some people like thicker stews. I'm going to add some black pepper. Just a touch of salt. Okay, I'm going to hold back a little bit because, again, I've said this before, stock is salty. If you add too much, it could be over salty. And when you over season, well, it's knackered in it. You can't take it back. And at this point, it is entirely up to you. You could add all sorts of herbs, spices, a bit of extra veg in there. It's entirely up to you. I'm going to add a bit of sage, I think, because sage, onion, chicken, marriage made in heaven. I'm also going to add a bit of mustard. I'm adding a bit of whole grain just because I've got it in the fridge. And I'm just going to let that bubble away for a few minutes on a sort of like a medium-low heat whilst I kind of get on and make the dumpling mix. Bowl, dumpling mix. Get it in. Season it up. Salt, bit of salt, get it in. Because at the minute, this is just like suet and flour. There's no seasoning in there. Bit of pep. And again, you can muck about with this. You could add whatever you like to that dumpling mix. Bit of cheese, herbs, spices, make it your own. I'm going to add, just because I've got some, bit of tarragon, bit of dried tarragon. Goes absolutely amazing with chicken. It is potent so don't use too much. Mix it in with a fork. And now we need some water, cold water. This packet says about 75 ml or about 5 tablespoons. Yeah, about 5 tablespoons. But listen, you want just enough to kind of bind it together. And obviously follow the packet instructions for the dumpling mix that you buy. But I've done this 1,000 times, so I'm just going to eyeball it. Yeah, that's perfect. Straight off. Now our lovely, jubbly, bubbly chicken stew here, I'm going to give it about 10 minutes on fairly low, just so you kind of see a few little bubbles pop into the top. See that? That bloop, 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 bloop. I'm going to give it about 10 minutes. We'll add the parsley, a bit of lemon juice, and then we'll add the dumplings.
One debt to society later.
Right, so I need to give this a little bit of a taste. I need to check this for seasoning. Try a bit of the sauce. Definitely doesn't need any salt. What I'm going to do is add a small handful of fresh parsley. And also I'm going to add some lemon juice. You don't have to use fresh lemons. You could use like the bottled stuff if you want to save a bit of money. But just a little squeeze. Drops a seed in there. Hope that don't bust my too. It just kind of adds a little citrus note. Obviously because it's a lemon, it's citrus, isn't it? Duh. But what it does, it just kind of cuts through that sort of richness, that fattiness. Because all good food has like 4 elements. Salt, fat, acid, sweetness. You kind of think about those things when you're cooking and you're going to produce something lovely. And at this point as well, look, this will make a cracking little pie filling. Reduce it down a little bit more, cool it down, stick it in a pie dish with some pastry, whack it in the oven. Excellent pie filling. Right, so that's sort of ready now. What we're going to do is add our dumplings. So I'm going to take our mixture, sort of break it off into, I don't know, golf ball sized pieces, roll it, flop. If you want more dumplings, you could always add another packet mix. It's entirely up to you. And just taking a spoon quick, what I like to do is just kind of flick over some of the sauce just on the top. It just kind of stops them drying out a bit. Now, if you like your dumplings crispy, what you can do at this point, take it off the hob, stick it in the oven. And that's going to kind of bake the top, make them nice and crispy. I like my dumplings nice and pillowy soft. So I'm going to stick a lid on it. And that'll take another 20, maybe 25 minutes, just nice and gentle on the hob. just until the dumplings are cut through. They're nice and fluffy, like they've risen up nicely. And that's the stew done. Just got myself a little portion there, just a little taste test. Let's give it a go. Ah, yeah, fucking bitch, hot. It's everything you want from a stew. It's rich, savoury, salty, bit smoky from that bacon as well. And just that touch of lemon just kind of gives it an edge. Just cuts through it a little bit. Dumplings are nice and pillowy soft, but it's delicious. And it's exactly what you want on a really cold bloody winter's day. It's going to warm you up, make your belly happy. It's good. So there we have it. There is my chicken stew and dumplings. Cost bugger all. I will put all the costings on the screen, how much it's going to cost you in total, but that's going to feed a family of 4, no problem. Maybe 5 if you've got like a small child. But let me know what you think in the comments below. Do you like my chicken stew and dumplings, or do you think it's a bag of shit? Let me know in the comments. But I'm going to bugger off. I'm going to finish this. I'm probably going to have some more as well because I'm hungry. But remember to share these recipes to your friends, family, and also those people in need. Get them shared. Now, starting next week, I'm going to be doing some Christmas recipes, so keep an eye out for those as well. But until then, I'll see your gorgeous faces next time, and bye for now.